notes from chapter 12 on that. Plus you also have your lab practicals on Monday too, right? 11:30 or 12:30, depending on which class you're in.
What time would that be, 11:30?
Okay. So, and also if you have your little jerseys on for your thing, just like slide by before you go and sign in on a little sheet of paper. So as you're walking out of the classroom, sign your name in for me. That work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. So I think we left off here yesterday, or pretty close to it. We were talking about making a muscle contract and how we had to excite it first, right? That's that whole excitation, contraction, coupling thing. So we talked about that a little bit. We did that little neuromuscular junction thing too, right?
Yes.
All that stuff. So we did that whole overlap, so don't really worry about that. Soccer ball thing, we're good there. Alright, so we have to like run back through that neuromuscular junction.
No.
We'll do like a little bit more. So yeah, we're like run through the whole thing at some point. Anyways, now we have a fancy name for that neuromuscular junction, and it's called a synapse. That's really all you want to know. It's really the same thing, but a synapse can be more of a broad term. If it's a point of communication between a nerve and a muscle, it's a type of a synapse, and it's called a neuromuscular junction. And we can also have another type of synapse from like a nerve to another nerve. That's a synapse, or a nerve to some other type of cell or whatever tissue through there.
Kind of like in the brain.
What's that?
Kind of like in the
Synapses in the brain too, right? So all those things are considered to be a synapse. So it's a type of junction, if you will, between a nerve and some other, whatever, another nerve or some other tissue or whatever out through there. So, just again, a region where some nerve cell will communicate with some other type of cell, whether it's a muscle cell or another nerve cell or whatever. And we're going to use a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. That's what we were talking about with the synaptic end ball. You might remember, right? Our little balloons filled up with that chemical. You there? You guys know any other named neurotransmitters that are out there? Maybe like dopamine, have you heard of that one? Yeah, that's another chemical messenger.
Serotonin.
What about GABA? Gamma aminobutyric acid. That's a big one for like brain stuff or whatever. How about serotonin?
I love serotonin. It's my friend.
Okay, and I have like a whole list of hundreds of different types of neurotransmitters that are out there. So again, they all have a specific receptor that I have to bind to. Okay, to go ahead and send those signals across. So we'll probably talk about this little guy and maybe this little guy a little bit later on when we do brain stuff or whatever. But right now, just know, okay, yeah, acetylcholine is a type of a neurotransmitter, chemical messenger, if you will. Perfect. That's my synapse. So chemicals are released from the synapse. That's synaptic end ball thing. Perfect. Okay, so we did this stuff yesterday. Synaptic gap. Remember we said that was the, well I call it the cleft, right? It can go either way. Synaptic cleft, synaptic gap. It's the same thing. It's the space between the neuron, right, and the muscle cell. So that area right in between here, we said that's the synaptic cleft or the synaptic gap. Either way would be correct. And the end ball, naturally it's the end of the my nerve cells over here. We have that little guy going on. I think we're pretty good there. What else do we have? Yeah, crazy picture. Can't really see too well. Motor end plate. We said that was the portion of the cell membrane, that plasma membrane, the sarcomere, that would accommodate for that synaptic end ball so they can go ahead and communicate from one side to the other. We call that the motor end plate. You're there. Like I said, we'll like draw this whole thing out for you too. Put it all together. Okay. So we have the motor end plate. What did I find on the motor end plate? Little receptors for acetylcholine. That may be like a good thing to know at some point down the road on your next exam.
Yep.
I was saying on the motor end plate, there's little receptors for acetylcholine. That's the picture we used for you yesterday. Good on that side of the board though.
I thought you called it this like.
It is, so you guys didn't know we were going to too fast for you. Okay. So I said I had my end ball. That's my end ball. Synaptic end ball, if you will. And that is, if you're looking at the big picture here, right, so the end of my nerve cell has these little balls on the end of it. That little ball is a synaptic end ball. So I just drew one of them for you, nice and big. Then I said, here is my muscle cell. My muscle cell. And I said, yes, the space between the two is my synaptic cleft or the synaptic gap. Either way, would be correct.
Are you gonna have like pictures on the test and you label them?
No, no pictures to label. I'll say name the space between the neuron and the muscle cell.
Synaptic.
Synaptic cleft. Yeah, that's really easy. Yeah. All right, and then here's my motor end plate. So it's like this area right here, that's the end plate. That's my motor end plate. It's that specialized portion of the cell membrane. Again, my cell membrane is here and here. So think all the sarcolemma. But that spot where the nerve communicates with it is known as the motor end plate. So this is my motor end plate. I said on the motor end plate itself, there's receptors.
And ion channels.
And those are receptors for this acetylcholine that's hanging out of my end ball over here. So here's my little acetylcholine receptors. And ACH is just like the abbreviation for acetylcholine. That's on it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so same little guy over here. Motor end plate, nerve signals. You can forget. Doing okay? Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. Alrighty, there's like a big picture of a motor end plate, I guess you could say, where the nerve cell communicates with the muscle cell. So again, every cell is innervated by a nerve for us, so we know that to be true. And here's a better picture, maybe the same thing I tried to draw for you in the board over there, but they also call this thing a synaptic terminal, but we're calling it a synaptic end ball, it's the same thing, but we can find inside I have my little acetylcholine. Okay, that's my chemical messenger, my neurotransmitter. Here's my motor end plate, this portion of the cell membrane that communicates with that end ball, if you will. I have my little receptors located on the end plate. And when the signal comes down, I dump the acetylcholine from the end ball, it swims across the little cleft, synaptic gap, and it binds to the receptors on the motor end plate. That's going to send my signal to the muscle cell, telling it to contract. What do you guys think?
Great.
You guys are like, holy cow. Okay, it'll be fine, honest. We'll figure it out. Now there's some steps here. We're going to put them all up here for you. There we go. You pretty much need to know how the muscle contracts. Like, how's the signal get from the nerve to the muscle? What are the steps? Who has to do this? What has to happen next? Thing. So we're going to go from there and like work it out that way for you. So, we'll like run through the whole thing here. Because we'll draw pictures for you and be perfect. So you guys looking forward to like a short week next week?
Yes.
You probably need it after all the other crazy bonus stuff you have to do over this weekend, right? Okay, let's see what we have going on. Okay, so let's draw you a big picture. So you have your brain and your little brain stem and your spinal cord. Same thing. And we're going to have neurons located in your brain and brainstem and spinal cord. We're going to send signals to your muscles. So I'll draw my little neuron. Just like this. Okay. So here's my little nerve cell. And here's my end ball, right over here. Well, the synaptic end ball. Okay, well, a signal has to travel along my little nerve cell, or my nerve, to my synaptic end ball, where I'm going to communicate with my muscle cell. Here's my big giant muscle cell right over here. Okay, so here's my step one, right? So the nerve impulse, the nerve signal, whatever, travels along the axon. So when we do the next couple chapters, we're going to find that this little piece right here of my nerve cell is called an axon. There. So you guys may have heard of like axons and dendrites and cell bodies and all the other crazy stuff. So there's my little axons right there. And it says I'm going to reach my muscle cell and through, you guys remember exocytosis? Right? Leaving the cell, exiting sort of thing. So I'm going to dump that acetylcholine via exocytosis into my cleft over here. Sort of thing. So into the synaptic cleft, that's step one. So the signal comes, I dump the chemical into the cleft. And step two says that acetylcholine will diffuse, so that's that word diffusion, high to low concentration thing, right? So acetylcholine will diffuse across the cleft, so I'm gonna like come this way. So we can fill that in. And guess what? It has to bind to receptors on the sarcolemma. But what's really the sarcolemma? It's the motor end plate.
Yeah.
Motor end plate? Okay. Like I said, we'll go through this like a couple times. So I bind to receptors on the motor end plate.